Many people, gamers especially, tend to neglect their peripherals. They stick with that ancient Dell mouse that their PC came with, or they rock that $20 impulse buy keyboard at the exit row at Fry's Electronics. It's unfortunate as, even as they spend upwards of $600 on a shiny new video card, they'll grab the cheapest input device they can find. Just like those centralized components in a PC, a great keyboard or mouse can improve all of your games. I've spent the last few weeks with the HyperX Alloy Elite Keyboard, and as you'll see in this video, there's a lot to like. In terms of design, it's clear that the team at HyperX wanted this keyboard to be the last one you'll need to buy for a very, very long time. With a hefty and strong steel frame, the Alloy also features a thick USB cable, protected with a braided jacket with a rubber grommet to alleviate pinch damage. The steel is a charcoal black with a trio of macro keys for lighting management over here. At the top left, game mode key, which disables the Windows key to guard against accidental tapping out of a game, and the usual array of pause, play, rewind, fast forward, and scroll style mouse wheel type audio roller for controlling volume. I want to show you the lighting on the HyperX Alloy Elite, and I think the best way to do that is in the dark. So up here in the upper left hand corner is the brightness setting. Obviously that's off. A little brighter than that, maximum brightness. Next over, obviously this is fully on, one of the 6 functions. This is kind of the breathing or pulsing sort of thing. Next up is something where every time you type, it lights up the individual keys for a brief period of time. That's kind of neat. This one is kind of cool. It's almost like fireworks, so as you type, it lights up and kind of sends out a pulse off of wherever you happen to be hitting a button. This one just pulses from left to right, if that's your jam. There you go. And then this one obviously lights up WASD, control, the space bar, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and your volume controls up top. If you kind of go for a minimalistic but still lit at a LAN gaming or something like that, this is probably a good setting. So there you go. One of the things that I really appreciated about this keyboard is that it is completely driverless. As soon as you plug it in, it's ready to go. What that also means, though, is that there's no software to do any sort of macroing. There's no long strip of macro keys waiting to be configured there. If that's your thing, it's just something to know about this keyboard. It does not support it. In my particular case, in 35 plus years of gaming, I can't say I've ever really used a macro key other than kind of a novelty. Under the hood is what really makes this thing interesting. So if you've never pulled a key off of a keyboard, fret not, I will show you how it's done. Use something that looks kind of like the friendship ender from Halo. Simply go over the key itself, give it a good yank. What you can see there is the Cherry MX red key switch. As you'll notice over here, these keys are a little bit different. That's not the way it comes stock. These textured keys are specifically made for FPS gaming. They have a little bit of a surface to them so you can easily find them during gaming. And then I'm not sure why these are silver, but there you go. Awful nice of them. So you can see that it's fully sealed. You have the LED up top. You have the switch itself underneath there. This particular keyboard, as I mentioned, is using the cherry red switches. Those are my personal favorite. The red switches are a smooth motion with no detent, so there's not like a break when you press the key. It's a linear 45 grams of force needed to depress it, and it travels about 4 millimeters total. At 2 millimeters is when it actuates. As you can see here, the key is kind of at a bit of an angle, and it's a little bit taller than your typical throwaway keyboard. But it's very, very comfortable for natural typing, surfing the web, and gaming. In fact, I wrote this review on it. You may have noticed that the keys don't really rest in a cradle of any kind, and they're not nested to the point where you can't get underneath them. In point of fact, since all of the keys are removable, this is incredibly handy if you want to clean underneath your keys, or if you want to strip it all the way down to the switches, which are all sealed to some degree to keep dirt, dust, and grime out. It's not exactly the sort of marketing bullet you'd see on the back of the box, but if this keyboard is going to be in your peripheral family for a while, keeping it clean is something you probably should make sure you do. Hitman was the one that was the best way to test the anti-ghosting technology that's present in this keyboard. I don't want to get off too much of a tangent, but it's actually more correctly known as N-key rollover. Ghosting, on the other hand, is where you press two keys and somehow a key that you didn't press is also activated. Back to the Hitman example, I was able to press W to move forward, then D to strafe sideways, and then C to crouch, all simultaneously without any sort of interference. Similarly, flying a helicopter in Ghost Recon Wildlands requires a bit of digital gymnastics to stay airborne. No matter what I threw at the Alloy Elite, it happily passed my inputs to the game without complaint or hesitation. I did explain that this keyboard has an entirely steel frame. That is true, while this particular wrist rest, on the other hand, is plastic. This rubberized coated surface here, it's kind of a grid pattern. It doesn't quite make your fingers or wrist stick, so that works nicely, but the weight of the keyboard prevents it from moving anyway, so it makes just for a great wrist rest for natural typing. Unless you happen to be a professional gamer, you probably also type a lot of documents like I do. On a good day, I can breeze past 120 words per minute, occasionally enough to overpower a cheaper keyboard. Here I was able to type as fast as my fingers would go without a single forced error. Any goofy misspellings were my own fault. Flipping around here to the back, it's probably the one con for this keyboard. There's only a single USB port, and it's a pass-through USB 2.0. It's not exactly bleeding edge. USB 3 is pretty common at this point. So is USB-C. So I was kind of surprised to see that there isn't at least two, but there you have it. At $109 MSRP, the Alloy Elite from HyperX is right in the sweet spot for a quality keyboard. However, the overall construction, Cherry MX switch hardware, steel frame, and a driverless nature could easily justify a higher price. HyperX continues to establish itself as a gamer's best friend, and the Alloy Elite only serves to solidify that position. Now, let's hope the Alloy Elite 2 carries a pair of USB 3.0 ports in the back. Thanks for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. If you didn't, subscribe anyway and see what we do next. Thanks for watching.